All right, riders, in this video, I thought we'd do something just a little bit different. If you happen to follow us on social media, whether it's Facebook or IG, you've probably seen us post quite a few of these animated videos. Now, these are not AI. We actually take the time to build these out. So if you're a graphics animator, you'll immediately know this is not ChatGPT. It takes us many hours, if not weeks, to create these. And so today I thought, well, I'll just combine them and really break down and show you what's happening when your motorcycle is cornering. Our channel here is all about education, and everybody learns a little bit differently. And we found that people really like these, and it makes it easier to kind of see what's really happening rather than us just, strapping the GoPro on a camera here or there and trying to explain out on the streets or the track. So I hope you enjoy these. We're going to talk everything from trail braking to what's happening with your contact patch, geometry to fork travel, and then of course the rear brake, what it's good for, what it's not so good for. So if you like this, leave us a comment below if you want to see more animation included in some of our videos. And after you watch this, I hope you get out, enjoy an epic ride this weekend, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.
Most riders think the front brake only has the most powerful and effective way to slow down. And they're right, but it does so much more. But here's the key. Unlike the rear brake or engine braking, weight transfer from the front brake loads the exact tire we're asking to slow. That's why the harder we brake with the front, the more effective it becomes. The rear brake or engine braking wouldn't be much use in this situation. What about chassis geometry? Let's take a step back. Every time we squeeze the front brake, the motorcycle itself changes shape. The fork compresses, the rear shock extends, the wheelbase shortens, rake and trail decrease. The bike becomes more agile, ready to turn. This is exactly how motorcycles are engineered to turn into a corner, with weight forward. The only accurate and repeatable way to transfer weight forward is with the front brake. When we roll back to the throttle, the process reverses. The fork extends, the rear squats, rake and trail increase, the wheelbase grows. And now, the motorcycle is engineered to run wide. Grip isn't magic, it's physics. Tires grip chemically through their compound and mechanically by interlocking with the road surface. We can't change chemistry mid-corner, but we can influence mechanical grip. Every pound of force we send through the fork into the tire spreads the rubber against the asphalt, enlarging the contact patch. More rubber on the ground means more grip, more confidence, and more speed. This is why expert riders go to the brakes when they get nervous. They stay with it, trading brake pressure for lean angle until they're happy with speed and direction. It's not just about slowing down. It's about putting the motorcycle into its turning geometry and keeping it loaded for grip. Give up on the brakes too early and the fork extends, the contact patch shrinks, and suddenly you're trying to turn in on an unloaded tire with geometry that prefers to go straight. That's when confidence disappears. The front brake is the control that separates good riders from great riders. It manages speed, it sets geometry, and it creates grip. Master it, and you master the foundation of motorcycle control.
Next, let's talk about the rear brake, which just so happens to be one of the most misunderstood controls on the motorcycle. We enter the braking zone while accelerating. Because the rear tire is loaded under acceleration, we can apply the rear brake slightly before the front. This slows shock rebound and slows the forward weight transfer as we transition to the front brake. As front brake pressure builds, the rear tire unloads. That's the cue to ease off the rear brake. As we turn into the corner, we trail off the front brake while adding lean angle. Trailing off brake pressure and adding lean angle reloads the rear tire, making the rear brake an option again. At maximum lean, we may be completely off the front brake, but we can still use the rear brake to slow and tighten our line. Once we can see our exit and begin taking away lean angle, we can accelerate with confidence. Even on exit, the rear brake is valuable. It helps manage traction and control wheelies, giving the rider more control than electronics alone. Mastering the rear brake isn't about using it everywhere. It's about knowing when it helps. Respect the load, apply it smoothly, and you'll unlock one of the most powerful tools for control on your motorcycle. Now, let's talk about what's happening with the front forks. Every motorcycle is engineered to turn into a corner with weight forward and load on the front tire. We quantify that load through fork travel, how far the front suspension is compressed in its stroke. Most modern sport and sport touring motorcycles have roughly 125 millimeters of total front fork travel. So we asked the simple question to championship-winning Yamaha crew chief Tom Halverson. Is there a fork travel number you look for at turn-in with your racers? He didn't hesitate. Yes, about 100 millimeters of fork travel. That number matters because motorcycles are engineered to turn best there. Let's look at 3 corner entries. The first, fork fully extended. This happens when riders release the brake or begin accelerating before turning. The fork is extended, there's very little load on the front tire, and that front tire's contact patch is small in V-shape. The chassis geometry is telling the bike to go straight, and the bike wants to run wide. Second, the fork fully bottomed, the ultra late or abrupt braker. The fork is on the stops, there's no suspension travel left, and the tire is flattened like a car tire. The bike again resists turning and runs wide because it can't change direction. This is where the myth that the bike stands up when you use the front brake comes from. It's also the problem with trying to find lap time by braking later and later. Different mistakes, same result. Now, the sweet spot. Third, about 80 to 100 millimeters of fork travel at tip-in. The tire profile is round, the front contact patch is loaded, the chassis geometry is in an agile position, the bike turns exactly as designed. This is where champions turn the motorcycle. We don't guess our way there. We control fork travel with the front brake. That's why trail braking isn't aggressive, it's precise. That's why downhill corners require more brake pressure than uphill ones, and that's why releasing the brake before steering works against the motorcycle's design. So the fork is never bottomed, you ask? Remember that Tom Halverson was talking about fork travel at turn-in. That was the number his riders and tuners examined, but before turn-in, during hard straight-line braking, the fork can and will be on the stops. That's okay. As MotoGP rider and YCRS guest instructor Bradley Smith put it, even with maximum braking in a straight line, you have to give up brake pressure to get the tire profile back. That's not feel, that's physics. Whether it's a Yamaha YZF R9 or a Tracer GT, the rule is the same. The rider, the onboard suspension engineer, controls front end load and chassis geometry with the front brake lever. 100 millimeters, right where the motorcycle wants to turn.